Great.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first Lafayette Design Review Commission meeting of 2023. It is January 11th, 2023, and we will begin the meeting with a roll call. Glenn Cass.
Present.
Eugene Sim.
Here.
Armin Hadaloo.
Present.
John Gray.
Here.
And Kristen Seidel is here. All members of the commission are present. Our first agenda item after roll call is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So Eugene with the motion, and I think John with the second.
No, Armin.
Armin with the second. Okay.
I thought I beat him, but go ahead.
You can duke it out all night long. Okay. So we will vote. Glenn.
Aye.
Eugene.
Aye.
Armin.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And Kristen is aye, so the motion passes to adopt the agenda. The next item on the agenda is public comments for items not on this or an upcoming agenda and within purview of the commission. Nancy, are there any raised hands in the audience?
No, there are none.
All right. Thank you. Our next item are the consent calendar items, and I believe that we will have to do each of these as separate votes because not everyone who is present tonight was present for these meetings. So we will start with the November 9th DRC draft meeting minutes. And for November 9th, we had commissioners present were John Gray, Armin Hadaloo, and Eugene Sim. So do I have from the three of you a motion to approve these minutes?
Yes, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And we will have a vote. We'll start with Eugene,
Aye.
Armin,
Aye.
and John.
Aye.
So the draft meeting minutes from November 9th are approved. Next, we will approve or have a vote to approve the meeting minutes. That was a special meeting from November 30th. Do I have a motion to, and the excused was Glenn. So do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Yes, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and we will have a vote on that. Eugene,
Aye.
Armin,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Kristen is also aye. So the motion carries to approve those meeting minutes as well. Next on our agenda would be study sessions, but we have no study sessions. So we will move on to continued public hearings. So this is HDP 24-22. And it's a request for a hillside development permit to do an interior first floor remodel and construct a new 1,828 square foot second story addition for a maximum height of 28 feet. And also to construct a 40 square foot front porch addition, and also to construct a 384 square foot rear covered patio. And this is all on an existing single family residence at 3343 Carlisle Terrace. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA, and Matt Jones will be presenting to us today.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a nice new year. I'm going to be presenting on my project, and I've got a slideshow here for you all. I'm just going to put that up. Now, can you all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So this project went before DRC back on the 30th, and my colleague Renata presented the project on my behalf. And the item was continued, and it was continued for a couple of reasons. So I'm just going to really quickly recap the project. And if anyone has any questions or needs to see additional slides from the last meeting, feel free to let me know. So project is at 3343 Carlisle Terrace. Request for a hillside development permit and design review. In terms of the project scope, they're just adding a rear porch addition. They're doing a second story, all within the setback areas. And so the concerns from the November 30th meeting, couple concerns, these were all outlined in the staff report. Some of the commissioners had a concern about a chimney encroachment on the left side setback, and staff took a look at that, looked at the code and found that, and spoke with the applicant about maybe doing a redesign, and they did. So I'm just going to kind of run through these really quick, and I'll go into a little bit more detail in a minute. So the chimney encroachment, the second one, the left elevation, just that there was issues with cohesion among the different windows. And providing additional visual relief and and with regards to the change in plane, issues with the second story. So basically, it's mostly that left elevation that it sounded like commissioners had an issue with. So staff spoke with the applicant, and we, talked about some modifications. So we're bringing these to you today to review. So for the color materials board, I just wanted to clarify something. The renderings show a different color. And I spoke with the applicant about this and just confirmed that they had no intention of changing the colors. And if you look at, this, so on the left side is what they originally proposed and the right side is what they're proposing now. But when they call out the individual items, they're all the same. So I just wanted to clarify that the rendering, I think, just came out with a different color, but it's all the same as the original submittal. So regarding the first item that I covered, for the fireplace and chimney encroachment, here's the floor plan that he proposed. This is the revised version, and he's got the fireplace. It's encroaching 2 feet there's really only the edge of it that's encroaching into the setback line because it goes at a diagonal through the property there. But then he did a rendering that kind of showed what that looked like. Per the Muni code, it basically says that you can encroach if you're 6 feet or less. So this is pretty common. Staff has done this before for attached decks, and we made the finding in the staff report that it's very similar in nature. So we're recommending that DRC consider approving the encroachment because it's under 6 feet and we find it similar in nature. With regards to the elevations for the front and for the rear, there's just some slight modifications that they made with the gables. They wanted to add a little bit of additional sort of visual interest, I think. So they added some additional color to kind of match some of the other colors that they have around the house. And so that was kind of the primary change that they made between those two elevations. But most of the changes they made were taking the DRC's considerations into account for the right and left side. So with regards to that, for the left side, what they've done is they've sort of addressed the concerns about the second story elevation with the windows by squaring these up a little bit better. As you can see, it seems like there's a lot more balance and symmetry to them. They're all around the same height. And then they decided to add window boxes below them. And so that, and then they carried over that same sort of design detail that they showed on the front with regards to the gables, just adding a little bit of additional different color, different side paneling, some gable vents. They also added a chimney, and I did want to just quickly point out, it wasn't covered in the staff report, but the same section of the code applies in this case to the chimney here. Chimneys are allowed, they're considered appurtenant structures, and they don't contribute to the height necessarily if they're within a certain height, and that's usually 3 feet. This one is less than 3 feet. So I just wanted to call attention to that. It was overlooked in the staff report, but it meets code. So with regards to that, and then I also wanted to point out, and I wasn't at the last hearing, but the lower elevations mostly are going to be covered by a fence. They show the fence line here, but the other thing is that part of the house, especially on, I believe it's the right side, has already been constructed. There was already a remodel that was done in this area, so I just wanted to make sure that was captured in this staff report. So the windows are aligned. The thing that staff found maybe was lacking, I guess, is that there was a prior submittal they gave to staff where we had them revise it, and they had put sort of a continuation of this to carry forward sort of, and the word escapes me, but they're basically want to carry forward this roof line here to kind of break up those two planes and the side along the left elevation. And for some reason that was removed with this iteration, and staff recommended in our staff report to have them bring that back in. And, you know, it gave us the impression that that would sort of complete, you know, providing more of that balance and visual interest that we felt that maybe the commissioners were looking for. So I think with that, we are recommending that that the DRC adopt resolution 2022-14, subject to standard conditions of approval, and one additional condition of approval, I guess, that I would add that is outlined in the staff report. So that's my recommendation. That's my staff report. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Do any commissioners have questions about the presentation or the proposed remodel?
None for me.
John?
Matt, I do, and I think you addressed it, but just for clarity, in the applicant's presentation, there are two sets of elevations in the drawings that were distributed to us. And one set shows the gray color scheme that you talked about, A12 and 13. And then later in the set is A20 and A21, which look like they're just a mistake. I just wanted to see if my interpretation was correct.
I don't know if the applicant's here, but I maybe could let them speak to that.
Okay, I can ask them that.
Yeah, I was going off the elevations, and this is just maybe an educated guess. I think that they were in there to show context, and that one of the renderings was proposed and the other one was existing for the home, but that might not be true. It might have been a mistake.
Okay, we can ask the applicant. Thanks. Nothing further.
Okay.
Okay, any other commissioner questions? Okay, now we can open it up to the applicant's presentation.
I am promoting Jake Albini.
Welcome, Mr. Albini. You are in the meeting and we are ready for you to do a brief presentation about your project.
Great. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, great, great. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to speak. I have Matt did a great job. Thank you, Matt, for going through the before and after. I have a similar slide that I can show to show the recommended condition, which is the addition of that awning along the east elevation. So I can go through that real quick. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Great. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. As I mentioned, Matt did a great job of comparing the before and afters. As referenced, the front elevations have been updated on the drawings to better reflect the actual color. And I know Commissioner Gray had some comments on that, but the overall proposal for the colors materiality themselves has not changed. It's just the elevations as shown in the original submittal just were not consistent with what the actual colors being proposed, which is more of a light gray. The new updated drawings show that in better actuality in terms of like the light gray colors, the white trim, the dark blue shutters. So that's hopefully providing some clarity to that, and to Commissioner Gray's comments about the later drawings sheets in the set actually showing this kind of older, I'd say outdated browner color. They had that. Those sheets were simply meant to show a context of the existing structure to the proposed structure, and those colors were not updated. So that is a mistake. The true proposal is the actual colors shown on the material board, and the elevations have been updated to a more gray color to be more consistent. Overall, for the last hearing and review, as Matt mentioned, the focus seemed to be more on the side elevations, the front and rear. Correct me if I'm wrong, commissioners, but it seemed like that was acceptable. So we focused a lot of our time and my designer's time on the side elevations. And I think, you know, speaking candidly, I was a little resistant because I was kind of crunched on time to get this going. But after reviewing that with my designer and having more than a few iterations of this, it was well worth the time to reevaluate this. I think the end result of that additional time to analyze it and add some additional some materiality, some context, and lesson and add some more breakups to that facade was well worth it. So I do appreciate that feedback. I think the end product's gonna be better for it. So thank you, commissioners, for providing those thoughts. You can tell from the before and after. I think it's like night and day. The previous facades especially the left elevation, it was too bulky. It needed to be broken up a little bit more. The windows needed some work in reevaluating the consistency of the windows and the overall alignment of the windows. So I worked with my designer to clean that up, get the windows in the same plane, specifically on the left elevation, adding the gable treatments to make it more match with the Craftsman style, the gable vents, etc. What Matt was referring to in terms of the continuation of that awning, if you will, along the east elevation. Before I'd submitted like a belly band, if you would, a trim feature. This is now reflecting, I think it's like an 18-inch extrusion along the subfloor, the breakup between the first and second floor. So I think that goes a little bit farther, and I think Matt agrees it goes a little bit farther in breaking up the second first story, and adding a little more kick to the elevation itself. Beyond that, Matt also referenced that I think it's worth noting that the existing home is essentially reflected here on the first story. And back in 2014, I did an addition where I added on to the existing home. And you can tell that the new addition has a 10-foot ceilings, hence the higher window sills and window headers on the new addition versus the existing home, which has the window headers to address an 8-foot ceiling condition. So that's why there's this delta in terms of the window header height. And I probably did a poor job of describing that in the last go around, but that's why there's a difference here in terms of header height on the west elevation. And then down here on the east elevation, again, this first floor is existing today. And the difference between these doors and this window is that this is the existing garage. So once you step up with the subfloor to the new home, that's why this step is existing and needed, because there's obviously a difference in elevation there in terms of the subfloor. So that's why there's a slight difference in the header height of these doors. But overall, again, very appreciative of your time and your review of the last go around. If I had gone through with this full steam ahead, I think it would not have turned out as good as it could have been. And I think the changes were well worth it. So with that, thank you for your time, and I'm glad to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Albini. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
None.
Just one quick one, if I may.
Mhm.
The left side elevation that we see on our screen right now shows the awning you described. The A13 that was included in our package, and that was the one that Matt showed, has what you, I believe, called a belly band.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, your intention is to do what we see on the screen now. Is that right?
Yes, in working with Matt and my designer, we proposed a couple options. I think I'll take blame for it. I didn't get this option to Matt in time for the distribution of the drawings. So this is an option I'm absolutely willing to do. And if that's the intent or the preference for the commission, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, no problem. That's just for clarity. Thank you.
Are there any other commissioner questions? Okay, do we have any public comments?
There are no attendees.
Okay, thank you. Well, usually, Mr. Albini, we would give you time for a rebuttal to public comments, but I don't think we need to do that unless there were other things you needed to share, but I think it's quite clear what you've presented. So with that, I think we can move on to commissioner comments. Would anyone like to go first? Let's start with, why don't we start with Commissioner Gray, please?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Albini, I would just like to say, I very much appreciate that you took our comments to heart and you really did improve the project. I think the design challenges in this one were evident, trying to combine some disparate things. And I think you made some moves that really improved it. So I hope you enjoy living with it, maybe a little more than you might have. I think your neighbors might enjoy it a little more. I have no further comments. I just want to say thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Cass.
Yeah, looks great. I have no other comments.
Commissioner Sim.
I have no additional comments either. I think Commissioner Gray made a good point.
Commissioner Hadaloo.
I agree with my fellow commissioners, and I want to thank applicant for taking the time and just taking our comments and making these improvements.
Okay, well, I will wrap it up by agreeing with my fellow commissioners. And also I want to echo our appreciation to the applicant for working to create a better design. As Commissioner Gray said, it creates a better city for all of us. So thank you for that effort. So with that, can I get a motion to approve the approval letter?
I'll make the motion to approve the staff resolution.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
that.
Thank you. So we have a second, and so we will take it to a vote. Commissioner Sim,
Aye.
Commissioner Hadaloo,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Cass,
Aye.
and I, as Kristen said, I'll also vote in favor. So the motion carries. The project per the staff letter is approved. So there is a brief appeal period, and obviously you will need to get a building permit. But Mr. Albini, congratulations. You are moving on to the next step in the process. Okay. The next item on our agenda is new public hearings, of which I believe there are none. Nancy, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any other business?
Yes.
Are there any commissioners' reports? No. Any staff liaison reports? No. Well, that brings us to adjournment, which I don't think we have to vote on.
No ARC?
Oh, is there an ARC meeting this week?
I believe we just did one this past on
Yeah,
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I think that covers everyone or everything. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Thanks.
Good night.
everybody. Bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.